iHeartMedia recently announced Now You Know with Knowa Baraso, the debut podcast from Knowa Baraso, the 13-year-old political commentator on the rise, who made waves with his direct, sharp, and witty commentary throughout the 2024 presidential election cycle. The first episodes are available on the iHeartRadio app and everywhere podcasts are heard. Knowa Baraso is one of the youngest faces of the Democratic Party, one of the sharpest minds covering politics, and one of the rising stars in the podcasting space. And he is our guest today. This is the QR code, and I am Ramses Ja. All right, Knowa Baraso, welcome to the show, man. How you doing today?
Ramses, how are you?
I'm flourishing, my friend.
Listen, I got to know Ramses 3 minutes before this. I'm excited. I'm ready. Seems like a great guy. I'm gonna keep it a buck. I am freestyling, and I'm excited for this non-PR episode with Ramses today. I have no idea what we're gonna talk about.
Well, have no fear. We're just going to get to know you a little bit.
Let's do it.
I've had the pleasure of coming across some of your videos, some of your more viral videos, and so I've been aware of you and my co-host. He actually sent over some of your videos, and I remember thinking, man, this guy's on fire. This is the future that we need to be excited about, right? And so, uh, for folks that didn't have that experience, I think it's just a matter of making sure that they're aware of the work that you're doing, the brilliant mind that you have, and what I think a lot of folks can look forward to. So, with that in mind, do us a favor, and I gave you a brief introduction, but talk a little bit
Right.
about yourself, a little bit about your background, and sort of what led you to this conversation we're about to have today.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that was one of my favorite intros, like ever. I
I
like the
appreciate
intro.
it.
I appreciate that, Ramses.
Of course.
I'm gonna make sure I get you right. So you kind of explained it a little bit. I wouldn't say my here. How do I frame this? I want to say mainly where people would find me. And I was at the sheriff representing Atlanta's birthday party, and he said if you don't know Noah, you're not on social media.
Hmm.
And that was his thing. And I think in recent times following the election, I've done television appearances and then kept on social media and now the podcast. And this month and next month, I'm fixing to get back active on social media. I think the tent has gotten bigger, the Noah tent has gotten bigger. And so I'm excited to be on the same network as you, Ramses, with the QR code. And I think you summed it up pretty well.
Okay. All right. Well, good, good. So, one of the things that, we didn't get into the weeds just yet, and hopefully this will give you a bit of an aperture into the conversation that I'm hoping our listeners will resonate with our listeners. But one of the things that you said recently in a social media post of yours is that you are not an activist. You said you aren't an
No.
activist. So do us a favor, explain your role in the political space so that we get an idea of sort of all that your path entails.
I appreciate you asking that. And I appreciate you doing the research to know that. I appreciate that. So why I say that is when I think of activism, I think of a fist up. I think of fighting grassrootsly on the streets and knocking the doors and doing all the things that are necessary to create a movement. I wouldn't say I think out of respect for activists, I wouldn't say I'm doing that. I would say the reach is more so like you mentioned from social media, from entertainment and from podcasting and from the television world. I think activism has more of a grassroots background to it. I think there are so many great activists, and I would not discredit them by just handing out the term as soon as someone says go vote. And so out of respect for that position, I would say I am just as much of a rapper as I am an activist. And I
Hmm.
think out of respect for activists that I respect so greatly, and that their work is so needed to the country, I didn't I that's not my role.
Sure.
And yeah, and my role and like you said, I'm gonna just say it straight up. I think the role of an activist is even more needed in this moment than anything imaginable. So if I can collaborate with activists and if I can work with them to make the common goal possible, we're gonna do it. But I think my role in this moment is the entertainment role and spreading the political messaging that's needed through entertainment.
Sure, sure. I appreciate that because I recognize that as a a broadcaster. I'm a longtime broadcaster on the radio, and um, activists, they are not broadcasters often,
That's right.
right? Activists are not DJs. Activists are
That's right.
not social media influencers
That's
like
why I
yourself.
always say, like, when I see politicians doing the fist up like the squad, I'm like, you're a politician, you're not an activist. Go do some policy work. But
Right.
continue.
There you go. There you go. And so this supplemental work that you find yourself doing, I think uh is critical right now. It's critical because those with the messaging, those that have galvanized the people, those who have communicated directly with the people, as you mentioned, via grassroots efforts, those people will need uh, platforming. Those people
Yeah.
will need, folks to, challenge their ideas to ensure that those ideas are going to kind of retain their buoyancy as they float out into the world, et cetera. And so I absolutely respect that statement. And I knew that you were going to kind of approach it from that direction, but I
Yeah.
recognize that that's kind
I'm
of a
predictable. What can you say, Ramses?
no. Hey, man, I love it. I love it. All right. Well, how about this? Something you might know well. After going viral so many times, what is it that made you want to start a podcast when you were already kind of hitting the mark with your
Yeah.
social media point? What do you think was missing from the podcasting space that your show brings to the collective conversation?
I appreciate you asking that. So it's the same thing that Charlemagne the God and Angela Laurie and everyone I was up on that interview panel with when I was being interviewed for the Native Land and the Breakfast Club collab when they offered me the show. It's the same thing they saw. It was that in we kind of like what we said earlier. We need a marge between activism kind of and keep them in their respect and then make sure that entertainment voices are heard inside of politics. So what I will say is that we need people in the on microphones, on radio, and on television interviews that can spread a message not only for one party but for a movement. And so I cannot wait until I have the opportunity when the person comes up, a certain activist that's on the rise. I give them a shout out and appreciate their work. But mainly, the reason I want to do a podcast right now, anyway, is that it's so necessary in entertainment world that we have voices that are spreading political messaging. Not just sometimes we have Megan Thee Stallion come out and endorse, and sometimes we have Nelly come support Trump, and sometimes we have this. But no, we need people that are affiliated with these entertainment companies to come on and say some political messaging. That's something that Angela Rye has done so well. Someone who is so seen in the entertainment world can come and speak politics. Someone like that. So that's where it comes from.
Okay. Okay. I love that. And do me a favor. We've been talking about activists, and then you mentioned names like, Angela Rye,
Hmm.
who is in the entertainment space. For folks that have not yet been able to check out your program, or might be looking forward to what is in the pipeline, give me an example of maybe a recent guest or a recent topic or something that you've discussed on the show, or maybe a couple if you want to share those.
Yeah, it's actually related. So the kind of the ground of the show, what I've kind of focused on a little bit is back in December 2024, I endorsed a candidate for Democratic Party chair. And a lot of people were like, why is he on this national news thing talking about who he's endorsing for this? Why does that matter? Why is that relevant? So what I really wanted to talk about with Macy Gray,
Okay.
and with Sarah McBride, it was so deep. I got lost. What
All
I
good.
wanted, what I talked on with someone all the way from Macy Gray to a podcast on iHeart to Congresswoman Sarah McBride. It was all ground to influence. How someone like Sarah McBride has such a large social media presence, and she's a member of Congress, for one of the first members of Congress to be that big on social media. Macy Gray, who is a Hollywood celebrity, speaking about it with Paul, and it's a politician, her, and then podcasters and all like that. And I think the main grounds for it is influence. Like I spoke about, I encouraged my people to go out and support that candidate for DNC chair, donate to his campaign, help him fundraise, and it's all grounds to that. So that's really been the basis of it.
Got you. Got you. Now let me while we're here, let me flip this question on its head. Let's project out into the future. Um, Give me an idea of a guest, or maybe a couple of guests, or maybe topics, whatever you feel comfortable with. Something that you would like to see on your show in terms of a guest or a topic you want to cover?
Yeah. I want to get them I said this on a few interviews. I said this on Rolling Out interview. I want to get their regular answer. I don't want a PR answer. I don't want something that they've been told. I don't want notes. In fact, this isn't something I tell the producers to do, but when they're here, when they're in the studio or on the big screen, I say, hey, put those notes away. Let's just have a conversation. And I think if we can get a non-PR answer, in a real conversation about what we're talking about, if we're talking about why this member of Congress, I'm gonna have him on, why he proposed this policy, or what does this song mean to Macy Gray and stuff like that. And a lot of upcoming guests are going to
Okay.
be very familiar to the mainstream. So that's really, I want to get their real answer.
Okay. All right. So give me one name of
Hmm.
one guest that you would like to run through this particular style of interview.
I have to say, in terms of crossing political endorsements all the way to crossing entertainment and merging those
Okay.
entertainment and political endorsements and
Uh-huh.
putting those together, I can't help but think of the most recent in the 2024 election. I'm thinking of Megan Thee Stallion. I'm thinking of Glorilla. Those are two people, and Cardi B. Those are three people that use their platforms in 2024 loudly
Okay.
to speak, and everyone was like, a rapper speaking about this. And I was at Kamala Harris's when I met her, when I got back with her yesterday. I saw her for the first time in a few months yesterday. She spoke about that on stage shortly after speaking with me. She talks about that when she got on the big stage on the book tour. So it's really that's a big one, because when you think of who endorsed in the 2024 election that traditionally just raps, traditionally does DJ, and traditionally speaks on certain hip hop issues, when you get their voices in politics, it's powerful. It really
Sure.
is.
Sure. This I know. Okay. That's a good answer.
Uh,
I like that one.
Appreciate it.
Now, as one of the younger voices and one of the more visible faces, I think you're in a position to know the impact that you've had on politics as they relate to younger people, people who aren't even able to cast a vote, right? So you're probably in a better position than anyone else to answer this question. From your perspective, what is the role that you think young people will play in politics ahead of the midterms and ahead of the next presidential election?
I'm gonna say it in one word, then I'm gonna elaborate. Everything.
Mm,
Young people determine, and I'm not speaking about young people with a platform. I'm not speaking about young people that are visible, like you mentioned. I'm talking about young people in general. One young person can show their grandma a video of, okay, let's use a specific state, right? Let's say right now you spoke about you're in Arizona. Your governor's Katie Hobbs. If they show their grandma video of Katie Hobbs vetoing great bills or signing into law great bills, because they have more access to social media and TikTok and media than their grandma. Their grandma probably has network television, newspapers, etc. They show their grandma, hey, grandma, look what Katie Hobbs just did about a new bill just vetoed. Look what bill she passed. They have the access of their grandmothers, their family, and everything. So young people that go to school every day, may have a job, have that sort of impact. Young people with a platform, whole nother discussion. But I think young people hold the power because they hold the phones. They hold the social media. They can pull up a video of me explaining why I support this person, not this person. It's powerful. It really is. They determine everything in the midterms. I've told every candidate I'm supporting, say, hey, we need to get on the road. I need to get on the road. I need to speak to these people. I need to encourage them. Just like Kamala Harris sent me out to talk to young people in 2024. I think everyone, no matter what, should focus on young people, whether you're running in a district that's 48% elderly and very few young people live there, or a very wealthy neighborhood that very few young people can live in. It's very important you focus on young people. Very, very, very.
like that. Now, let's make this a little bit more relevant to the culture.
Do it.
And I'm curious what your response would be. And if you don't have anything substantial, it's totally fine. But just curious, from where you sit, uh, what is, how would I ask this? What is the main thing that you think? I've asked this question to a lot of people,
Hmm.
but what is the main thing you think that Black people, Black communities should remain mindful of in Trump's America?
Boom. They had to get you. And I'm not talking about policy wise. I'm talking about misinformation wise. See this
Okay.
phone? This has Instagram on it. I have
Uh-huh.
Instagram. I'm an Instagram user. Every time I scroll, maybe I want to say every 13 videos is a lie.
Mm,
And there might be more or less. Somebody might say they have $1 million. That's a lie. But I'm speaking about a political lie. I'm
mhm,
speaking about a lie of a video that says FEMA only provided $750 after Hurricane Helene. In reality, that wasn't true. In reality, they got plenty of assistance. That was just what you need. That's what you could get before you applied for more. And I say this, misinformation is the number one thing that you need to be protected by. You need to protect yourself from it. I need you to look at people who make a video of Putin in the eye, right? Vladimir Putin, that's a great example. Russian misinformation. Oh my goodness. There's so many people around me that say, hey, you saw Putin held up the Bible with the black Jesus on it. And I looked it up within one Google search. I saw that was fake, a doctored video. Why would Putin and his cronies need to make a video of him holding a black Jesus Bible? Maybe is it because they want black Americans to like Russia, fall
mm,
susceptible, I say that word all the time and I mess it up, to
mm.
misinformation, right?
Sure.
It's embarrassing. And it is truly, truly a shame when I have people around me saying, hey, Putin love black people. And I look up, that's fake. I'm sorry. And they still don't believe it. It's not your fault. It really isn't. So you need to be mindful of misinformation no matter what.
I love that. I love that. I appreciate that too, because again, I've asked that question to a number of great thinkers, a number of great leaders,
Thank you.
from Charlemagne to
Thank you.
Joy Reid to we had Stacey Abrams on the other day,
Oh, that's
to
fun.
on and on and on.
Me
Right,
too. Me
right.
too.
So I've never been able to ask someone who has as fresh a view of politics as you. And so I appreciate the thoughtfulness there, because that
Thank
is
you.
something that might be a blind spot to a Stacey Abrams, right? Or maybe not
Yeah.
a blind spot, but maybe something that's not as much of a priority. But
Yeah.
recognizing how much of life centers around the way information flows nowadays is that's something that is definitely worth bearing in mind. I think I have an iPhone that is older than you, right? And so
Yeah.
you grew up in an era where smartphones are normal, and I grew
What's
up
your
in,
iPhone?
well, I have an iPhone. I have the current iPhone now, but I
There
I
you
have still my first
go.
iPhone, and that was from 2000
Right.
and maybe 2008, something like that. So
There you
in
go.
any event, this has been a joy talking to you, and I know I only get you for a few minutes, but before you go, um, the world is sort of your oyster right now. I know that you're launching your podcast, and or you've launched your podcast and are actively cultivating relationships with guests and so forth, and obviously exploring this new platform. Um, but you seem to be a very enthusiastic, very energetic, very ambitious young man, and I salute that and I respect that. What else is on the horizon for you, for new fans that might want to tap into you just to kind of create some connective tissue? What do they have to look forward to?
I really appreciate you asking that. So I'll say I've been inactive on social media due to the fact I'm explain when the podcast was coming out, I was like, I want to wipe it. I want to put my clips up. I want to do all that. I will be back on social media. I'm going to target that misinformation that we spoke about. I'm going to do the fun videos. I'm going to cultivate the audience for the midterms. And this is content that's really going to engage. So I think people are just waiting. My social media is my name at Noah de Barasso everywhere. And when I get back on social media, I think a lot of people are excited for that comeback. I'm going to be back on social media as soon as this month, next month. And it's not like I'm inactive. I do stories. I do tweets a lot, but I was not. I was very active on social media last year, and I need to get back on that page, sometime this year. But it is coming. It's gonna be
Okay.
great.
All right. I love that. So before we let you go, one more time, drop your social media, drop the podcast so people know how to get a hold of you. Any other website information like that, so our listeners can tap in with you.
Absolutely, I appreciate that. This is Noah de Barasso, and you can find me on social media at Noah de Barasso. That's spelled differently, KNOWADEBARASO. That's all social media. So you can find the podcast wherever you get your podcast. Now you know Noah de Barasso.
Well, thank you so much for your time, the work that you do, your brilliance, your energy. Keep going. If you ever need some big brothers to help out in any meaningful way, just count on me and count on Q. We're going to be here for you. But
Thank you.
we salute you. We're really proud of you, and we thank you again for your time. Once again, today's guest is one of the youngest faces of the Democratic Party, one of the sharpest minds covering politics, and one of the rising stars in the podcasting space, Knowa de Baraso.